Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Travel Mug Podcast. This week we are so excited to be joined by Aimee from Snap Happy Travel to chat about getting married abroad. So I don't know if this is something that all travel lovers do. It's definitely something I considered when I was getting married. And you do, Megan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Aimee got married abroad a few years ago. I'm going to keep the location secret for a minute, but we will talk about it, I promise. So she's done this herself. Aimee knows what it takes to plan a destination wedding. So welcome to the show, Aimee.
Hello, it's lovely to be here, and I'm excited to chat all things getting married abroad. Yeah, get to relive all the nice memories, and but I
Yeah.
guess you'll see that when we
Yeah.
start chatting.
Yeah. So how did you decide to get married abroad? Like, were there pros and cons you considered before you made the final decision to do it?
Yes, I always did when I dreamt of my wedding. I always did imagine it being abroad. I live in Ireland, so I always wanted a sunny wedding, and I know that is kind of difficult in Ireland. And also my husband is from England. So I'm from Ireland. My husband is England. It kind of made sense to do it on neutral ground. That was one of the big, I guess, pros for us and what we said from the get-go. Also at the time, we were living in New Zealand.
Ugh.
So we had, at the time of our wedding, we had probably been living abroad for 10 years. So we thought getting married abroad will be like a big vacation for both of our families. Everyone would be quite relaxed in holiday mode. And we could also do like the evening before, even the day before, and then the day after. So it was all almost like a 3, 4 day event. And people were, yeah, relaxed. Everyone had fun. And also, I suppose, all of our family were from Europe. So getting married in Italy made sense because in Europe you can get, if you're on a budget, you can get cheap flights with Ryanair or EasyJet.
Yeah.
So, because we were like, oh my God, you were living in New Zealand. Why didn't you get married there? But I just don't think it was feasible for as beautiful as it
Everyone.
is. It's so far, it's 27 hours plus of traveling and yeah, it just was a bit expensive. I think that's more of maybe an elopement destination for
Mhm.
someone like us, being from so far away from Europe. So we did obviously broach it with family, close family, before we definitely set on the decision to get married abroad. That were both of our parents too. We really wanted there. Were they willing to do that? And yeah, they're all for us. Yeah, they wanted a holiday too. And where we picked, obviously we'll get into that thing. I don't think anybody had our wedding had been there. They had all known of it. So yeah, it was excitement for us and excitement for everyone else as well.
Well, that
Yeah.
leads really well into the next question too. Sorry, Jen, did you want to add to that?
Go right in, Megan.
All right. How, so you've eluded Italy. I hope I picked up on that correctly. How did you decide where you would get married?
So it was the Cinque Terre in Italy, which you may know are five coastal villages. They're almost built on like rocks, and they're like pastel colored. They're all connected to one another. But it's very Instagram worthy. I suppose you might not know the name, but I bet when you see a photo of the area, you will recognize it. Because a lot of the time it's actually comes up as the photo, like on your HP laptop, when
Yes.
that background image. So that's where I first saw it actually. So when I was in my later years in high school on our first PC computer at home, the Cinque Terre was one of our was a background image, and I kept it there because I thought it was Manarola, so that's one of the villages in the Cinque Terre, and I thought, oh wow, that looks like heaven. It looks amazing. But I guess I kind of guessed it probably was Italy, but I never done research into where in Italy it actually was. I just thought this is a beautiful place. I'm going to keep it as my background image. And then when me and my husband were planning to do a backpacking trip around Italy, he loves to research. So he researches all the destinations. And one evening he said, "Oh, look at this place. We should go there." And I said, "Oh my God, that's the place that was on the background of my computer. I'd love to go there. Where is it?" And then he said it was the Cinque Terre, which is quite close to Pisa. We wanted to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So I guess that's how, yeah, that name was in my head when we wanted to get married. It was between Italy and Greece, which I think is probably both quite common countries to get married abroad in. And we were open to both. We actually considered Lake Como as well in Italy. But I think that is just from the research we done, and we did reach out to a few wedding planners. It just is a little bit more high end on the pricing range in Como. So yeah, we had our mindset on, I guess, the Cinque Terre, and yeah,
Yeah.
we had a destination, I suppose, that we wanted. We didn't know if it was possible or not yet. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we'll go back to when you were deciding to get married. So a barrier for some couples is, everyone that they want at their wedding might not be able to attend. That actually, it might be a pro or a con, depending on on what you want. So was that something that you considered? Did you kind of talk to everybody before you made the decision to make sure that everyone you wanted there could be
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
Yeah. So we knew that most people would be able to make it besides my granny and granddad. So they would have been in their 80s. So we, as much as they would love to, they loved going on vacation, they just wouldn't have been comfortable with traveling outside of Ireland, I guess, with their age and their health. They weren't sure if anything would happen to them. But we actually had two weddings. So we had which I guess is the question further down also, but we had the wedding in Italy, but we legally got married in Ireland for a number of reasons, mainly because I wanted my granny and granddad to be present at some type of wedding event, but also because it might be something that people don't think of. So I am Catholic, being Irish, and my husband is Protestant or Church of England. Italy is obviously, like Ireland, a very heavily Catholic country. So for us to get married in Italy in a church, which is what I would have wanted to do there because the churches are so beautiful, he would have had to do like a course with the Catholic Church. And I don't think you need to essentially convert to Catholicism, but he would basically be saying that this marriage would be in the Catholic faith, if that makes sense. So, yeah, those were, I guess, two of the main reasons that we did end up doing the two events. So when we got married in Italy, because it was before the Irish wedding, we weren't actually legally married, even though we were, but it just... And as I said, I suppose we were also living in New Zealand, so him being able to do the course in Italy, etc., just would have been that much more complicated.
Yeah, for sure. So, I didn't get married abroad, but my best friend did, and I traveled to her. So we live in Nova Scotia in Canada, and her and her husband got married on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. So it's a pretty significant journey, really. So, which is what she wanted because she wanted to keep it really small. So it ended up just being her mom and dad, her husband's mom and stepdad, and then me and my husband. So it led to a really, really unique day where it wasn't a normal wedding day. But yes, there were obviously many members of both of their extended families that could not come. And I'm sure that they were disappointed in that, but I think that you have to make the decision that's right for you and your partner, and not just give in to what everybody else wants.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I think that, yeah, ultimately it needs to be, it's your wedding. So it does need to be, I guess, your decision and what you want. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of our thinking as well. But obviously we were mindful of everybody that we would be inviting.
Yeah.
And we did get to keep it small because in Ireland, the weddings are huge. Like you're inviting your mom's workmate and her daughter, and it's quite a big event. I think traditionally, I think now more and more people, because they are quite expensive, are doing it smaller, but um you would be kind of pushed to inviting everyone. It's
Mhm.
come on, it's a big party, it's a big celebration. So most Irish, I'd say every Irish wedding I've been to has been about 300 people in attendance at an average. So yeah, and when we got married in Italy, it was maybe 55, I think, was our final
Okay.
number.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you have to. You can't have 300 people traveling to Italy. You can, but
I mean, sure. Some
be a
people
lot.
probably do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. So, how long did it take you to plan your wedding from kind of deciding what you were going to do to wedding day?
We actually went to visit the venue and our wedding planner, or our potential wedding planner at that stage, in June the year before. And we had gotten married then in August that year after. So I suppose over a year, you can of course do it shorter, but because we were living in New Zealand, so we needed, I guess, that time for responding, phone calls, the time difference. Yeah, so it took us, a year and 2 months. And in June, we went to view, there was 3 different venues that we had in mind in the Cinque Terre, and we went to view them all. And we are glad that we did, because the one that we thought would be our preference, um, when we viewed it, it was quite far from the town, so everybody would have been having to get taxis. You couldn't walk into the town. It had an amazing swimming pool out the front, which looked beautiful. But then we thought, in the evening, there was no barrier around it in the evening. People, after a few wines, there might be people that you have to keep an eye on. So, yeah, we're glad that we did, because we picked our venue and we saw it, and it just was everything that we had wanted and hoped for.
And so through your wedding planner, I'm assuming they then hooked you up with the vendors and everything like that. I'm assuming it was all a package.
Yes, yeah, correct. So our wedding planners were Cinque Terre weddings, pretty easy to um, remember. The lady Melina, she is Australian, but her mom, or I think maybe both her parents, were from the Cinque Terre, and then she had moved back there and married a local, and then she was able to organize it all, which we found helpful, that she was obviously fluent in both languages. For us, there was no language barrier, and she knew that it's a very touristic place, but also a very small place too. So the celebrant was actually her husband. And the wedding venue that we ended up choosing, and she didn't persuade us in any way to pick this, but was owned by her husband's auntie. And I think, everyone was connected. The barman was her husband's friends, and it just was quite lovely and quite Irish as well, because I don't know. It's funny. And if you ever meet someone from Ireland abroad, they'll say, "Oh, do you know Declan Murphy? He's also from Cork." And actually, a lot of the time, you're like, "Oh, no way, I don't." Oh, actually, I do. I actually do know that man. So it's kind of it's a small world, and we just thought that that was quite funny. That everybody knew each other. It was nice.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
that.
I do. I love that too. Yeah. So what sort of like logistics do you think a couple should consider when they're planning a destination wedding, when they're picking venues and picking wedding planners, for example?
So I think for us, as much as we wanted to get married in the Cinque Terre, if it would have been too difficult for people to get to, then it probably would have been ruled out. So we looked at, I'm from a city called Cork in Ireland, that our guests would have been able to fly from Cork to an airport close by to the Cinque Terre. So it could fly to Pisa at the time, which was about 50 minutes on a train. You could also fly to, suppose, Bergamo, which is near Milan, which is a little bit longer on a train, but I think you can get a fast train. under 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours. My husband's family are from London, so I think no matter where we picked in Italy, there probably was a flight going there. But we did purposely look up, oh, wait a second, can you actually get there easily from Cork, or would our guests been having to drive 3 hours to Dublin, which is a bigger airport, and flying from there? And I think that might have added into maybe some people being a little bit more hesitant, because it's extra cost and it's extra time, and some of our guests were older as well, so we didn't want to, I guess, put too much pressure on them. So we did look at that. Also the a lot of our guests were teachers, so we kind of have to get married in the summer holidays, which is in Ireland is June, July, and August, but in the UK they only get 6 weeks. So from the end of July until the end of August, around that time frame. So we chose August 3rd, keeping that in mind, which is obviously warmer, but we kind of made sure we kind of put all that information. We didn't make a wedding website, but I put a section on my own travel website, just because it was already there. It was just easier to add the information in with how people could get there, different hotels that we recommended that they book that maybe we had stayed in when we visited in June the year before, or when we were backpacking. And then just information on trains and, how to get from Pisa Airport or how to get from another airport there, just to make it as easy as possible, because a lot of our guests, I guess, weren't as used to traveling as maybe we were.
Yeah, though that's all really great points. Try to make it as easy on your guests as you can.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So you did mention that you did not get legally married in Italy. Was the decision made because of the church, like, course that your husband would have had to take, or was there other factors in that decision?
I think more that as well, but also because did want my granny and granddad to be
Right.
part of the day. And they said from the get-go, we always knew that you would probably get married abroad, but unfortunately at our age we just can't do it. So I think that kind of made it nice that we had two events. The wedding in Ireland was very small. It was just a registry office, and then we all went for dinner afterwards. And but yeah, it's definitely possible. And you can get married in a registry office in Italy, I believe, but there is some paperwork involved in doing that. And I think the registry office as well would be in the major cities. So we maybe would have had to go to Florence or one of those cities as well. So kind of was a little bit of extra hassle that could be done, but we kind of were quite happy with our choice to have 2 little days that kind of made everyone happy, I suppose, in our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. So my friend that got married in Scotland, they also chose to have a symbolic ceremony in Scotland. They got legally married in Ontario before they left on their trip. And part of that decision was like logistics when you try to register your marriage, like with your government when you come home, like the certificate or the information that's provided in another country might not be accepted. Obviously, with Scotland, we wouldn't have had the issue of translation, but with somewhere like Italy, or a lot of people I know get married maybe down south in like a Spanish-speaking country, you have that issue where paperwork that you get if you get legally married there is not in the correct language and doesn't have all of the information that your government needs. So I think that it's something for people to consider, that it's probably just easier to get legally married in your home country and have your lovely, amazing wedding anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was already, I guess, hard enough. It was lovely planning a wedding, but it is a lot of extra factors that maybe you don't think about, and getting everything together can take a lot of time. It's a lot of emails back and forth because, again, we weren't obviously in Italy to just go and meet with the wedding planner. So it was, yeah, just keep it as easy as you possibly can. Yeah.
That's good advice unto itself. And I think one of the barriers for people can definitely be budget. So I think we'd like to understand what your experience was with that in terms of, was your wedding cheaper in your experience than you think you could have had in Ireland? And talk to us about maybe unexpected costs that might have come up that sort of, if there were any.
We kind of understood from the get-go that it would be cheaper for us to get married abroad because of the number of people we probably would have had to invite if we were to
Right.
get married in Ireland. But also a lot of the venues in Ireland are per head. So you're paying maybe 100 or 150 euro per head for a seat, again, essentially, and that, that would include their meal. No open bar drinks, etc. Everyone would pay for. But in Italy, what we found is that you're paying for a package. Everything is kind of included in that. So our package, now keep in mind this was, what did I say, 7 years ago? Yes, 6, 7 years ago. Our basic package was 12,500 euro. That was for the venue, which was a vineyard, which included accommodation for 2 nights for about 12 people. There was like 3 separate little apartments. It included a 3-course meal, aperitivo, and an open bar of just beer and local wine. The extras then were the wedding planner, the flowers, the band. I think that's it. Yeah, the celebrant was included in the 12,500. And then there's obviously, some bands are more expensive than others and different flower packages. She probably showed us, 10 to 15 different types that you could choose. And I think it included our wedding cake, the original package. So that to us was very, very reasonable. But obviously you have to add all the extras on.
Yeah.
So I think all in, like including my dress and the bridesmaids' dresses, was about 25,000 euro, which I don't even know is good anymore. But for us, from the prices that we were seeing from Ireland or England, was probably half,
Mm.
It's
half
all
of
and it's all
what.
relative. Like if that's good
Mhm.
for you, that's good for you. That's
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's so hard to know e- what is even good and not anymore. But we kind of had, I guess, a figure in our mind, and we were happy to pay
yeah.
that for that. And there was, you could have chosen a cheaper venue. You could have had a smaller wedding. You could have like we added on extras that people could maybe have cocktails instead of just the beer and the wine. Yeah, so it was, yeah, but I think about 25,000 euro all in. So yeah, that was we were pretty happy with that. But yeah, kind of.
Sounds to me, Amy, like I'm sad I missed it, really.
Yeah.
I wish I
It
could
was
have been
great.
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It was great. It was now everyone else were like, we must get married abroad. My cousin is actually getting married in Nerca in Spain in September next year. So and
And
she didn't come to my wedding because she was living abroad at the time. But I think her mom, my auntie, was very, you need to get married abroad. You need to get married abroad. We need to have a holiday.
Yeah.
It's all about, the big holiday, and everyone knows then all the Irish are in town because they're very loud. They're very loud family. They yeah. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. I think everybody was a little bit more free and
yeah.
fun, and
Yeah.
when you're in a beautiful place, the weather is good, it's somewhere different, everybody is all together. So yeah, it was really good. And it was nice for both families to be together in that
Mm.
environment, because obviously my husband being from England, then they would have met, both parents would have met, but the extended family wouldn't have met each other. So it was nice, and they all got on very well. Yeah, they're a lot quieter, but it was fun. Yeah, they had a lot of fun. They were just laughing. I'm just used to I'm just used to the Irish by now. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Excellent.
fun. Is there anything in your package that you wish you had included, or something that you included that you would not have included if you were doing it again?
My bridesmaids were laughing at me, but I didn't book any makeup artist. I just had like done my makeup myself and had my bridesmaids help me because I thought it's in the sun. You don't want to be wearing a whole mountain of makeup or makeup that maybe your skin isn't used to.
Mm.
And also, I didn't have a hairdresser. We all just went to like a local little hairdresser, like in the village, and got our hair done, and then just walked back up the hill to the venue, which is very like casual. Like my bridesmaid was thinking, what, like that, I couldn't like, what are you doing? Like, how could you be so casual about it? But I just thought, like, I guess it wasn't a priority, I suppose, for me. Maybe now I probably would have spent a little bit extra and just had them come to me in the house as opposed to, us walking up and down. I didn't really think about that or factor that in. Uh, but yeah, so I suppose that would be the one thing. It just might have made things easier because you're probably rushing a little bit more, trying to get down, and then,
Mhm.
it's one after the other, everyone waiting, and then heading back up the hill to put on the dress. Yeah, but yeah, I think that would be the only thing. Everything else was perfect.
Let's talk about your actual
Yes.
wedding day. Tell us about the day. What are some of maybe your most memorable moments, and how do you think that the fact that it was a destination wedding, like, added to the overall experience?
So our wedding was later in the day because of the heat, and our wedding planner did suggest that from the get-go. And I think that probably is the case if you're getting married anywhere in mainland Europe in the summer months. That the wedding probably starts at the earliest 4, or in our case, I think the ceremony didn't start until 5 p.m. So our ceremony was in an area just above the vineyard, but it was like cobblestones, just almost like a viewpoint. But they had it set up beautifully, and then the backdrop of the ocean behind. And then the ceremony was lovely. We had a live band, and they sang. I really wanted the song, where Ed Sheeran and Andrea Bocelli
Mhm.
sing together. So that was my wedding song that I wanted. So they sang that as I was walking up the aisle. And I had my dad walk me up, but also my nephew, because he is the only boy in our family, like of the grandchildren. There's um 11 girls and one
Wow.
boy. Yeah.
Wow.
So I always say he's like my son because he is 17 now. So he kind of, you know what I mean? He grew up with us. So
Yeah.
that was really nice, a really special moment. After the ceremony, the tradition in the Cinque Terre is that the bride and groom and the wedding party walk down into the village. The locals have been alerted by the wedding planner to kind of stand outside their homes, and they throw confetti. And then they meet you in the town square, and they kind of like are almost like encircling you and like dancing and clapping. And there was a few characters, like a local man who drives a bike, and he was dancing with us in the square. So it was just a tradition that they do there. They all want to see, I suppose, the bride and groom and the party and welcome them. So we all walked down, almost like the Pied Piper, us at the front and everyone behind. But it's quite sweet. And then we went and got our photos taken. So that was really nice, a moment away from it for just me and my husband. And we went to some really nice areas, like out on the rocks with the backdrop of the ocean, and then like kind of to like hidden little steps and areas in the town away from people. And at that time, our aperitivo was going on up at the venue. So the food at that probably was the best, I think. But we really like that type of, cured meats and different cheeses and olives and yeah, lots of little bits like that. And there was a band playing and lots of drinks. The weather was obviously, it wasn't dark yet, so it was just that perfect time of the evening, just before sunset, where it's still, quite warm. And yeah, everyone was, it's a very relaxed environment. It's not formal. People are just sitting where they like. And then we obviously came back up after having our photos taken. I didn't want the photos to take too long because I didn't want to be away from the day for too long. Because I know sometimes like photo sessions people can be taking,
Yeah.
2 hours or 2.5 hours away. And I just thought, if we don't get the right shot, we can just do it another day. It wasn't really that important. We're already in a beautiful place, so I'm sure we had amazing photos anyway, but I just didn't want to. I didn't want to miss out on anything really.
Yeah.
So we probably only had like an hour maximum away. And then we got back, and the dinner kind of starts as it gets dark because they want to have the atmosphere of, the lights and the candles. Um, and yeah, we had speeches. We probably did too many speeches, thinking I didn't really know the protocol of who speaks. I just thought, oh, I want this person speaking, and I want so it was like father of the bride, like father of the groom. I done a speech. My bridesmaids done a speech. There was a lot of talking, but it kind of broke up the meal nicely because it was, I think, 4 or maybe 5 courses. So it was, yeah, it was lovely. And then the dancing started. It probably finished, not sure what time, but I think the license probably only goes to a certain time, right? So I think maybe 1:32. It was an open bar because a lot of the packages kind of, I guess, their license only allows for that, like not that they're not allowed because it's not a bar, it's just a venue. They're not allowed to sell drink, you know what I mean? Oh, here's a beer, it's €3. And it kind of had to be all included in the package, which was handy. But yeah, there probably was a lot of more wasted drinks, I suppose, when it's an open bar, right? People are like, oh, cool, I'll try this cocktail. Oh, I
Why
don't like
not?
it. I'll just pop it down,
Yes.
I'll have a wine and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
pop it down. But I think they're used to that because that's obviously what they do all the time at the weddings there. So yeah, it was local beers and local wines. And I think we had 2 signature cocktails and mojito and like a lemon vodka type drink, just to kind of keep it simple and keep the barmen's life a little bit easier as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And in terms of like guests, so did you get any feedback from them? Like, how do you think their experience was being it's your wedding, but what was it like for them? Did you hear from anybody on that part?
Yeah, everybody spoke really positively about it, and that I don't think many people would have been to a destination wedding before at our wedding. But they all just, yeah, everyone had an amazing time. That's what they're saying to me anyway.
Of course, of course.
But yeah, I hope that's the case. But yeah, I think everybody was in good spirits the entire time, and it was nice for them to see an area that they hadn't seen. It was quite nice that we did see people out exploring the different villages, and not the day after, because I think everybody was tired. But the day after that, we kind of said, whoever wants to, with us, let's do a little tour of the villages. And for some people who may be nervous getting on and off the train and they're not sure where they should get off and things like that, just come with us and we'll go to all the 5 villages. And then at the end, we got like the ferry back. So we didn't have to get all the trains back, but the ferry from point A all the way back to point E or whichever. And that was really nice. Everybody got to, see all the different areas and do it all together. And they had somebody to follow, I suppose,
Right.
I think some of the older guests were, nervous in case they got lost.
Oh, it sounds like such a magical
Yeah.
wedding day. Yeah.
Does.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. So thank you so much for sharing this experience with us. I think that this will really help anyone who's starting to plan a destination wedding to kind of think about all of these different things that you might not consider when you first decide, like, I want to get married abroad. So where can our listeners find you online if they want to learn more about you and your travels?
So I have a travel blog. It's snaphappytravel.com. So I've got heaps of information on there about all the places we've been, and also I have a section on our wedding that might help people thinking about getting married in Italy or maybe thinking about a destination wedding. And I guess all the points that we've talked through here were all things that are very important and things that we considered before our destination wedding, because it's a big deal, right? Your wedding, you want to make sure you're making the right decision. And I suppose deciding on where you get married is probably one of the most important
Yeah.
aspects of
Yeah.
that. You know, it's a lot of thought, and for us, it took us a while to make our decision. Because you're always thinking, are you doing the right thing? But ultimately, it comes down to, well, what's your gut telling you? What's your heart telling you? It's your wedding. Where do you want it to be? Kind of stop so much thinking about everyone else and just, go with your heart. And that's what we did. And it worked out amazingly for us. So we are really happy
Yeah.
that we did. And I hope other people, might get some inspiration, I suppose.
Definitely. And I love, honestly, going back to, and I meant to mention this earlier, but what a full circle moment was, is that background on your computer.
Yeah,
And then you
I
loved that. And
know.
then that ended up being where you got married. Like, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's what I'm very, like, what's the word? Into, like, fate, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that kind
Yep.
of,
Yeah.
when something feels right like that,
It
it
was
meant something
destiny.
to me all those years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that we were able to do it as well. So I'm really
Yes.
proud that we were able to get married. In a place that, meant so much
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, I love that story. Well, thank you again, Aimee, for joining us. And for us, as always, you can find us on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Travel Podcast. You can find us on our website for more information on all of our episodes at travelmugpodcast.com. You can support the show monetarily through Buy Us a Coffee. The link is in our show notes. Or leave us a review. Why wouldn't you want to say something nice about us? Come on, guys. And until next time, thanks for joining. Bye, everyone.
Bye.